it becomes a game and it becomes like social media, it becomes social clout, and then nobody ever meets. I want to take you out. Here's the drink, here's the time, here's the place. At maximum, have one physical date per day.
We only allow people to chat 24 hours before the date.
It kind of works in the sense of dating is being in real life with people, not connecting with people on a dating app.
Welcome back to another episode of First Rounds on Me, a First Rounds on Media production. Today, my babe, it's just us. And we're pulling back the curtain on the app that we built. This episode is all about why First Rounds on Me looks different, feels different, and works differently, and why, yes, that throws people off sometimes at first. We get it. It's not what you're used to, but maybe that's exactly the point. So we're breaking down the case of the dating app culture, what we keep hearing from users who are totally burned out, and how First Rounds on Me is intentionally designed to help you actually meet somebody, not just collect matches like emotional Pokemon. You'll hear why one match a day is misunderstood genius, how our 24-hour chat window enforces clarity and intention, and why First Rounds on Me isn't just here to entertain you, it's here to get you on the date. So whether you're First Rounds on Me curious, First Rounds on Me skeptical, or First Rounds on Me obsessed, this episode is for you. So we were having a conversation the other day, and we were trying to, and we'll kind of go into it a little bit deeper later, but we're constantly having conversations internally, not only between the two of us, but then with our larger team, of the features of the app, right? And I think we're constantly evolving, we're constantly trying to make it better, and then we're constantly trying to see how we compare to the other juggernauts within the industry and if we're actually doing the right thing. And I think this is all born of a conversation that you were having with one of the fellows who runs our ads. Do you want to go a little bit more into it?
Yeah, well, I mean, that kind of heightened it.
Yeah.
As you know, all I'm trying to do is figure out how to be better, how to progress, how to listen to user feedback, how to stay on top of it myself, to be proactive with our features. Because at the end of the day, all we want to do is for users to enjoy our app, for the app to work, where the whole premise is for them to meet on a date and hopefully something happens. And to like learn what they want while still staying true to what we stand for. And it's really, really difficult.
It is a balancing act for sure.
Yeah, you see, like I'll stay up all night and I'll see what the traditional dating apps are doing and kind of why we pivoted from them. But then I'll also look through our app store reviews, or the reason why people are deleting the app, and just trying to understand like what are their pain points and how could I fix them without being like everybody else, which is why we always use one of our internal taglines when it comes to like investors and strategy on retraining the way that people use dating apps, because it's hard, but there also is an inflection point where, you know, if you keep doing the same thing and the audience doesn't like it, then it's kind of not helping anybody. But if you keep trying to retrain the way people want to use dating apps, but also listening to their feedback, that's kind of what I'm trying to do.
Bit of a push and a pull, and I think that that's a thing that we talk about, and we recently had a conversation about, was the fact that people are asking for more. I'm not going to say it exactly because we'll get into it a little bit later, but like more of something. But then if we were to give them more of that something, then it would in turn be like every other dating app.
Yeah. So some people, like you're mentioning, Sako on our team would say like,
"Hey, Sako.
Hey, on Hinge, I have 130 likes in the past couple of weeks. On First Rounds on Me, I have 3. And he said, do people actually use the app? And, you know, when you first hear that, you think, oh, do people actually use the app? But then when you break it down, it's like, okay, you have 130 likes, which may seem like a surface level thing to say, but why do you have 130 likes? Like, why do you need 130 likes?
Yeah, why should you have 130 likes?
And that's where it gets into like the philosophy of First Rounds on Me, where it's like you only have 3, but the purpose is for those 3 to be intentional and for you to take an action and meet in real life with those 3. So it kind of works in the sense of, yeah, we don't want you to have 138 likes, but also, okay, is 3 enough where you're getting that dopamine rush to actually stay on the app and retain and meet these people, because maybe those 3 are not the actual person that you want to meet in real life.
Yeah, but I think like what you hit on so many different things, and I want to break it down, because I think that like having 130 people like you or match with you on a dating app is the illusion of abundance. It's not actually abundance, right? So out of those 130, how many people do you actually want to go on a date with? How many people are you actually interested in? How many people in any way, shape, or form in the realm of what you want to be dating and how you want to be dating it. Versus First Rounds on Me, while the number of people that are coming towards you may be smaller, those people perhaps have spent the time to read through your profile, to understand the fact that, okay, if I really want to ask this person on a date, I have to really think to myself, okay, like, do I want to, and where am I going to take them? Like, the level of intentionality that's gone behind someone asking you on a First Rounds on Me date versus pressing a heart button on any other dating app is wild. And then I think it goes into the fact that people love options, but they hate overwhelm. So like, even though people are like, oh, it feels like I'm not getting enough in First Rounds on Me, I'm not getting that dopamine hit. Like, why do you want a dopamine hit? Like, truly and utterly, when it comes to dating and when it comes to like matching with people, do you really want that rush of like multiple matches?
Yeah, I think the other thing, so again, what I'm trying to do is figure out, is there a better way? And if there is, how do I go about implementing that?
Mm-hmm.
So every time somebody brings something like this up, I'll think about, okay, what is an alternative? And then I'll go to Shubhank and I'll say, okay, Shubhank is our head of engineering, and say,
Shubhank.
hey, if we implement this, how do you see it playing out with the whole flow of the app? And usually he'll come back at me and say, no, it doesn't work. And I think one of the things that I was trying to figure out last week was giving people more time to make the decision. So, okay, with First Rounds on Me, the first point of contact is an actual date, very intentional, very thought out. Or somebody asks you to plan the date, and then you could accept it, but accepting it is planning an actual date.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, what if instead of asking somebody out, you show like a mutual interest, and that mutual interest still gives you time to take an action, but then talking to you, the team, and Shubhank, it's like, yeah, we could do that, but we're moving towards every other app where it's like you're giving somebody time, and then those can accumulate, and then you have all these quote unquote connections that you're not really forced to act on, and the intentionality kind of loses itself. And I think, again, talking to the team, it really helps me because we flush these things out. And it even reminds myself that asking somebody out and the way that First Rounds on Me works is so intentional. To your point, you have to actually want to go on a date with them.
You have to think about what you're doing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Shubhank and I are the first line of defense, right? And when we're like, oh, maybe this is a good idea, maybe we're not, then you'll bring it to the rest of the team. But if him and I unanimously are like, no, this is not a good idea, then you kind of know from a creative standpoint, from a technology standpoint, from two people who really know the app through and through, that like we're moving away from something. But why? I get it and I understand it. I really do understand it from a larger general population perspective of like, they have been so used to dating in a certain way for such a long time. So when you introduce something that not only retrains the way that they're operating, but forces them to act completely different than they've ever acted within the last like 8 to 10 years, it freaks people the fuck out. And people are always adverse to change. And so if you peel it back, yeah, we could continue to modify the app little bit by little bit to give people what they want. Literally. And what people want is what they have known. But if we hold our ground, we go, no, this is the reason why this app is set up this way. And these are all the benefits that come along with it. Granted, it may not be for everybody. You have to be an intentional dater. You have to actually be intentional about wanting to go on dates. And whatever the end goal of that date is for you, it doesn't matter. You can still be intentional about that motive. But it's like I was saying to you, I was like, if you give people an inch, they're going to run a mile.
But the challenge that I run into is when you run a dating app or a social app, you need a lot of users for it to actually work on its own. So when you're a startup, how do you get to each stage of the next level of a startup? The stage that we're in, we need retention and we need users because users need other users to date.
Yes. 100%.
So I understand part of what users want, and I understand that we're different, but I also am trying to figure out, okay, how do I change it just a little bit where we could keep their retention so that there's more options, and then do that long enough to where we go to raise our next round and we have enough money to get the user base that we need. So it's really challenging. And I think,
well, maybe this is the best way to be able to go about it, right? Like, we're having this podcast right now and we're talking about it. And I think that, again, we talk about this internally and we have all of this feedback from like users who are kind of faceless in a way. I think right in here and right now, we should go through all of the features, why they were created, and then possibly get people's feedback live from this podcast, not live from this podcast, but after the fact,
yeah,
and understand what it is perhaps about each feature that turns them off a little bit, or they might be contributing to their own bias. Like I think it would be a little bit unveiling. So let's go through
and
this.
before we get into it,
Okay.
what I know at my core,
Mhm.
which is why I'm still more, if not more passionate than I ever was on First Rounds of Me, is that if everybody used it, so if we took Hinge's user base and moved them over to First Rounds on Me, so say we had 50 million users,
Mhm.
I know that it would work because you'd have 50 million people that you're actually trying to go on a physical date with. And ultimately, I think people would love that.
Agreed.
It's just, how do you get from point A to point B,
Mhm.
competing with these juggernauts, and
Who all
they have
give the
all the
same
money and the
thing.
resources that we don't have.
Well, but they also give all the same thing as well, and they give those like they're contributing to the serotonin, they're contributing to the dopamine, they're contributing to the illusion of abundance and the paradox of choice, and all of these things that people like sit there and say that they don't want, but they actually are so much more comfortable with. So let's go through it. Why do we give people only one confirmed date per day?
Okay, so before we get into this, to your point, there's 3 features.
Yes.
Each feature is very well thought out and curated to make the whole dating app experience, and what I'm saying is dating app experience, to be as organic as possible.
Mhm.
Sounds like an oxymoron, sounds like it's impossible, but if you only used one of them or 2 of them, it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work. So each feature
Complements each other.
complements each other so well, and if it's done with intention, your first date can be really organic through a dating app.
So it's almost like the formula is there, right?
The
So-
formula
yeah.
is there. So
why do we only allow people to have one confirmed date a day?
should we start with the first?
I kind of want to go out of order because
You
in
wanna
the
go out
same
of
sense,
order, okay.
because it's like we can sit there and say it in the way that we say it, right? Which
Yeah.
I think it always lands really well with people. But in that mode of like I just realized you have 2 different colored socks on.
It's a thing. I purposely did.
In the mode of sitting there saying that this formula works only when all of these 3 complement each other, but they don't have to go in that order. All right. So why do we give people only one confirmed date per day?
Okay, so with any feature in First Rounds of Me, it was obviously me being a serial dater for a year, getting women's feedback on what they wanted, but also what did I want, and then taking both of those things and putting as much research as I can into human psychology, human behavior, what is actually needed for people to connect. So when it comes to having one date per day, that's what users wanted, right? Because the premise of being on a dating app is to meet somebody and to figure something out, relationship, a hookup, see where it's going. As human beings, we could only have 3 to 5 new physical connections per week, right? Whether that's work, friends, romantic, that's a lot, 3 to 5. So when it comes to dating, you have all these matches, right? Let's call them, in air quotes, dates that go nowhere. If you're having a physical date, I think that you should, at maximum, have 1 physical date per day. And I think that's even too many.
Which is like 7 a week. That's a lot.
So that's still too many to me. But again, people have to have a flexibility, right? You have to give them something.
Yeah.
So I think what women wanted and what the research says is, when you're sitting down in front of one person at a time, for you to make that date as successful as it possibly can be, is you have to give all of your time and energy to that person in that moment. And I think, if you have 10 connections, you're not giving any of those connections
a fair shot
and enough attention that they need. And that's online. When you're physically in front of somebody, which is the way that dating should be, the lead up to that date and the few hours after that date should all be your time and energy about who that person was, about who you were in that moment. And I think if your outcome is to figure something out with somebody on a dating app, getting in front of them and giving them that allotted time, that day, that is why we have that feature.
I love it. Why do we set it up in a way that the first point of contact on the app is setting up an actual date?
Yeah. So again, being dating app users, right? We get all these matches. And then usually one of those people wants to meet. But there's so much miscommunication. There's so much that gets lost.
There's also this sense of like acting too cool, right?
Yeah. So it becomes a game. And it really does. And it becomes like social media. It becomes social clout. And then nobody ever meets. And that's why 70 to 80% of people who use dating apps don't like the experience, is because nobody's actually dating. So what I thought was, okay, being a dating app user myself, when I was matching with people, I didn't really want to meet them. And then if they wanted to be forward and say, hey, let's meet, I would have to find an excuse or just ghost them. So that's where I started ghosting, is like, oh, I matched with you, but I don't really want to meet you. And now the fact that you brought it up, I kind of have to ghost you because that was kind of the easy way out. So I thought, why am I matching with people if I'm not going to meet them? What's the point of that? And getting women's feedback, it was like, yeah, guys never want to go on a date. They just match and don't talk. So I thought, okay, all these dating apps throw the words intentionality, genuine, but they don't mean anything. What is intentionality and what does being genuine mean? It means, okay, I'm on here. I see your profile. If I like you, that means that I'm interested in meeting you. And that's how it should be. So if I'm interested in meeting you, why would I not set that initial interaction off as, I want to take you out. Here's the drink. Here's the time. Here's the place. And we both know that we're committed to a physical interaction, which to me is what dating is. Dating is being in real life with people, not connecting with people on a dating app.
Couldn't have said it better myself, my darling. And I think the last thing that, again, when I'm talking to people about the app, I think this is the thing that really raises a lot of eyebrows, right? Because I think it's the most jarring just in terms of like time limit.
But even, I want to stay on the sending a date as the first point of contact.
Okay, sorry.
Because I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, and again, it's in my opinion very intentional, right?
Yeah.
But people are like, I don't know if I want to go out with that person on a date. Like that's like, to Sako's point or to other people's point, it's like, it's twofold. I don't want to go out with a stranger right away, or you know, I don't know if I want to go out with them. It's like, then why would you like them then? What's the point of liking them if you have a lot of doubt that you actually want to go meet them in person?
So then it unleashes it lifts the veil on the fact that people are literally just there for the gamification of it, for the dopamine hit, for all of these things that they sit there and say that they're not. Like when you asked this question to this woman a while ago when we were in LA in a party, and what was it when she
was kind of joking, kind of being serious at one of our dating events. She seemed cool. She seemed pretty. She said, "Can you help me find a partner?" And I didn't really give her a real answer, but I was observing her for the next 20 minutes to kind of see how she was interacting. And we crossed paths again. I think you were present. And she said, "No, seriously, like I want to find a partner. Like, can you guys help me?" And I looked her in the eye and I said, like, "Do you actually want to find a partner?" And she said, "Yeah, I want to find a partner who like lets me do what I want to do, doesn't bother me too much, lives in this area." And she listed all these things. And I said, "So that's what you think is a partner? Like you actually want that? Like you realize like that's being really, really specific." And she's like, "Well, I kind of don't want that right now. I want it when the summer's over." And I was like, "So you actually don't want a partner right now?" She was like, "Yeah, I guess not." And I think that was a great summary of how people use dating apps.
Yeah. I think it's just constantly uncovering the fact that people sit there and say that they want something, but then are acting in a diametrically opposite way of actually achieving that. And then when you ask them point blank, you put them on the spot, they go, oh shit, hold up a second. I don't know if I really do want that. And it's so fascinating. It's so interesting. And you said it, you hit the nail on the head in terms of the fact that we get so much pushback of being like, well, I don't know if I want to take this person on a date until I've talked to them for X amount of time. Like we have a on the street question that we ask all the time, like how much time do you think is ideal to talk to somebody on a dating app before going on a date? And people will say, oh, a couple of weeks. I'm like, why? But what are you achieving within that couple of weeks?
But I know that's going to be your next question, and it doesn't even matter about the time. But ask the next question because the next feature, because that kind of is a great segue.
Oh, I will. The last feature, as I was saying earlier, that kind of I think raises the most eyebrows, and because I think it pushes on those pain points so much, is that we only allow people to chat 24 hours before the date. The chat box only opens 24 hours before the date, and that is the period of time that you have to be able to vet, to kind of gauge chemistry, to do all these types of things before you actually legitimately go and see this person out in the wild. Yeah. Why did we do that?
So again, through research, through what I wanted, the more you talk to somebody on a dating app, the odds of you meeting them in real life decrease each day for many different reasons. So the marketing term that we use for this feature is we want to give people enough time to feel each other out, but not enough time to become pen pals. We want to make the first date as organic as possible. Mm-hmm. You talk about people want 2 weeks of talk, right? There's many different reasons why that is not a good strategy. The first one that comes to mind is, say you have a great 2 weeks of talking. You're going to connect with, say, an average of 10 people per day during those 2 weeks. So that's 140 new people in between when you started chatting to this person to the point where you met. So now you're competing with 140 different conversations. That is insane to me. So it's not fair to that person's conversation.
And going back to what you were saying earlier, scientifically, psychologically, we cannot do that.
Right. The other thing, each day that you talk, the reason why the odds of meeting in real life decrease is because as human beings, we find a reason to have a negative reaction. Like, I don't know why that's how we're programmed. I think, I read something, don't hold me to this, but like cavemen, when they were like figuring out fire or how to hunt and how not to be killed, when they would look for the negative reaction. Like that's how they would kind of be safe moving forward. So I think when it comes to dating, each day that we talk to somebody, we're going to find some ick or something that we didn't like and be like, oh, I'm glad I asked that question because now I don't want to meet them. And it's like, well, why are you looking for that? Right. So say in day 8, you say, oh, I really like ketchup on my cheeseburger. And someone says, oh yeah, ketchup on a cheeseburger is disgusting. And they're like, oh, maybe I can't date this person because we're not aligned on something that's so ridiculous. But you're going to find that as like, oh, okay.
But you're going to hold so much more, what you just said it perfectly, like you're holding so much more importance to that thing that is just like so, like a lot of the times very innocuous and random. Like granted, there's going to be exceptions to the rule where someone's like diametrically opposite to you politically or like what have you, right? You can kind of gauge that pretty quickly. But to your point, like you'll find something through online that in person, you'd probably be like, oh, that's not that crazy of a thing. Or that's a funny thing that we have that differs us. Or on the complete flip side of what you're saying, right? So we'll find a reason not to go. Or people will build this fake sense of emotional intimacy through the phone. And it is based on factors that aren't true to what we actually fall in love with or what we actually fall for. And so you're doing it on markers of like what you visually see or these pictures that you've seen, 3 or 4 pictures of somebody, a bio, and then very, very curated conversation that is never true to the person who they actually are. Continue.
Yeah. So to your point, the opposite of this, right? So, okay. So situation 1 is each day you talk, you're going to find a reason not to like someone because you're going to get the ick, or there's going to be another conversation that piques your interest. The opposite of that is we're building up this person in our heads that's not a real person. So you're seeing 4 photos, and then you're having digital interactions with this person, and you're like, oh my God, he or she is so funny, and you're telling your friends like he is the funniest guy, and then.
He's ChatGPTing everything.
Right, he's ChatGPTing it or she's ChatGPTing it. And then it's like, oh my God, he knows so much about history. How do you know he knows so much about history? He's literally in front of his phone. He could be Googling anything, right? Yeah. So he's the funniest guy. He's the smartest guy. He's so good looking in his photos. Now you're telling your friends, you're telling your mom, oh mom, I have this amazing date coming up. Now your mom's invested. Your friends are invested. You're building all this pressure up on this person who you've never met. Little do they know that you're doing all this. So you go to this date, and you're going to be let down because you built them up to something that's so unrealistic. They could be an amazing person. They could be literally your dream person, but you've built them up to this level that they're never going to hit. So that is another reason why it's terrible. I think if you're going to talk to somebody for 2 weeks on a dating app, the only reason you should do that is if you're traveling and you really can't find schedules that align.
Yes.
But I still wouldn't talk. I still would do the bare minimum to like stay in touch. But I wouldn't share
to show that person that you're interested in meeting them when you get back.
And this is why I think I use the term keeping the first date as organic as possible. When you meet somebody new, I think we're programmed to have natural ice-breaking questions that keep a conversation going, right? So I just met Miles the other day. I don't know Miles, right? But I'm like, Miles, where do you live? Like, Miles and I are having a conversation, and we can have a conversation because there's so many icebreaking questions that we could ask each other. Where are you from? He mentioned Colorado. He lives in Ridgewood.
Don't give him all of Miles' information.
So like you can get through the first 15 minutes of a date with somebody with the natural icebreaking questions. And that's what you need, because the first 15 minutes, you're both so nervous. That's not the real versions of you.
No.
When those questions happen on a dating app, you're using that superpower. You're losing that superpower. So you don't have that in your arsenal. Right? We match. Hey, where are you from? Tell me about your brothers and sisters. Where'd you grow up? What do you really like? What are your red flags? What are your green flags? Okay, a week goes by. You meet this person. Are you going to talk specifically about those things? Because that's awkward.
Regurgitate them all, yeah.
Well, you're not going to regurgitate them. You're going to like probably get to the second level of questions or the third level of questions, which are really deep. And those need to be warmed into in person. So I think that to me is why 24 hours is literally like so excited that we matched. Can't wait to go to this coffee shop. You look super interesting. How's your day going? Simple questions. If that person responds really weirdly, you're like, okay, maybe I ask a few different questions because that was kind of a weird response.
Mm.
But if they say, oh, yeah, I'm so excited to meet you. I love this coffee shop. I'm a big coffee connoisseur. That's it. It's like, okay, he seems somewhat normal. She seems somewhat normal. Let me go get coffee with them and see what happens. So I think that is why I like the 24-hour feature, because I want to have enough ammo to get through the first 15 minutes of a first date because I'm going to be nervous.
Mm-hmm. And you're saying this so beautifully. And I think that the untold fourth differentiator, right, that we always preach, because we hear this a lot. Well, what happens if I go on the date and I don't like them? I go, okay, well, you spent 45 minutes of your life and you've learned a lesson or you have a story to tell. And it's incredible because our entire ethos is go for a drink, whether that's non-alcoholic or alcoholic, go for a drink because it's low pressure. Nobody really wants to be stuck at dinner for even if you go through the entire premise and the formula of First Rounds on Me, you still don't know if you're going to like that person until you get in front of them. And so why would we stick you in a 2 or 3 hour dinner? And the same goes for every other dating app, even though you sat there and talked to this person for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, and you get in front of them and either you've built them up to be something that they're not, or you've kind of almost convinced yourself not to go on this date, you're locked in for that period of time. A drink is so simplistic, it's so low pressure, but it also allows you to continue on a date if something is going fantastically.
Yeah, there's so many variables with getting a drink for first date. And to just clearly state what you said, it is not alcoholic. A drink
doesn't
can
have to
be
be
anything.
alcoholic,
It can be a sparkling water from a deli.
Heck,
Don't
babe.
recommend that date, but
It could be
anything.
it could be an ice cream too.
But to your point, right? Like, again, when I was dating, you try and go above and beyond with these first dates, especially the ones that you're kind of invested in, and you set up these really nice dinners. But I would say a guy knows 5 minutes into a date if there's a second date. I think women know in the first minute.
Yeah, we're pretty clear.
So you sit down with somebody and you're ordering your drink, you're ordering your appetizer, you're ordering your meal. This is a whole 2.5 hour ordeal when you already know, A, I don't want to be here anymore. B, a guy, in my sense, because I would always pay, okay, I just lost $250, $200. Like, what was the point of this? And now you have to have a forced conversation. So I think it's so much pressure on the first date. And I think that's why people don't go on first dates, is because they think they want to go to dinner and it takes so much pressure from both people to set up a nice dinner. But then you know that you're going to be locked in for this amount of time. With a drink, let's use coffee, because I'm really a big fan of the coffee dates. I know it's a hot take right now because I think I saw a study that the 20 dates women didn't want to go on, I think number 18 was a coffee date.
Yeah, I don't want to go on a coffee date, but that's just me.
Okay, so let's say it's for a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you go get a glass of wine with somebody, and I think what I would do is kind of already set plans with my friends an hour after the date's supposed to be. Even if it goes good or bad, it's a really good precedent where it's like, you meet them, hey, just to let you know, I'm meeting my friends for dinner after this. I'm, really excited about just getting to know you for an hour. If that goes super well, there's such a cliffhanger for the second date, because it's like, wow, like, I actually want to cancel dinner with my friends. Maybe I will, but if I don't, like, this was amazing. If it's going poorly, okay, I know 20 minutes in, I can say, like, I have to prepare to go get dinner with my friend. And, like, it's such an easy out where you don't make someone feel bad. It's also monetarily so much easier. Like, literally 2 glasses of wine, especially, like, we'll go the highest extreme here in New York. Say it's $35. Okay. So you have a story, you learned about yourself dating, learned about a new person, and you got a little bit tipsy for your dinner for $35.
Couldn't have said it better myself, my time. I think it's just one of those things where, and to close this out, because again, I said, I think it's so interesting for people to hear exactly why these features were created, why they work in unison and in tandem with each other, and what we're trying to get people to do. And it's not to take something away from you. It's to actually add to your life. But it's only if you are ready to be intentional about what you're doing. If you're not, if you still want the whole rigmarole of what's going on within the dating world, Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge are there for you, waiting. But if you want a new way to date, if you want to be intentional about what you're doing, and if you're like that woman who perhaps had a bit of an epiphany in that moment where when you asked her and put her on the spot, if this episode puts you on the spot, I urge you to try us out for a month. Just try us out for a month. In fact, you know what I'm even going to do? I'm going to give you a code. type in the word dating to First Rounds on Me, and it'll give you a free month of our highest level subscription. You can then explore every single feature that we have and how all of those features come together, and go on a couple of dates, accept a couple of dates. If you're a woman, ask a couple of men out that pique your interest, and understand that uncomfortable feeling that you have is more likely than not just from the fact that you've never dated this way, and nobody's ever tried to not force you, but shift your perspective in dating in that way.
I think that you beautifully said that.
Thank you.
And there's the fourth feature that we were supposed to touch on that I do want to touch on a little bit is, okay, so say you don't
I already said the secret fourth feature, which is
no, you didn't.
Drinks for a date.
That's not
so that's just, this is the secret fifth feature.
That's not the fourth feature. Going on a date one-on-one with somebody can be intimidating. It can maybe feel unsafe. It can maybe feel too much pressure. That's why we're seeing such a big uptick in social events. We throw so many events. We have the Cafe Social Club on 25th Street. If you feel more comfortable in a social environment with many different people, come to the event, talk to people casually, and if you pique somebody's interest, save them inside the First Rounds on Me app on your phone. Like, that's just another way of making dating organic. And I think a lot of people want to go to these singles events now. I don't know why. This is a whole different conversation, why men don't go to these events in particular, because at our events there's so many cool women. But that is another thing, that we have this feature where you can go to one of our events, sign up to the event inside the app. Once you're there, if you see somebody you're interested in, save each other's profiles inside the First Rounds on Me app and ask them out when you feel more comfortable.
I love that, darling. That was a secret fifth feature, but that's fine. I love talking about this. I could talk about this until the cows come home, because I think it's just so, like I said earlier, so important for people to understand the why behind what we do. And I hope that this has given a little bit more clarity and a little bit more information to the people out there who are a little bit skeptical, or if you were already obsessed with us, then deepen that obsession. Do you have anything else to add before you do the outro?
I don't. But yeah, if you do want to date intentionally, our app is very, very intentional. It does not mean that we're pushing you to be in a relationship or pushing you to get married. You could get anything that you want to get out of it as long as you're intentional. So on the first date, just say like, hey, listen, I'm just looking to have fun. I just got out of a relationship, or I'm open to meeting a partner, or I am looking for marriage. As long as you're intentional and you take the intentional step of setting up that date, I think we're the app for you. But
I know that we're the app.
Yeah, but this was a great episode. Please check out one of our past episodes and please subscribe. It helps us go a long way. We will see you next time, and happy dating.